Chosen one, stop whatever you are doing right now. I need you to lock your attention onto my voice, because what I am about to reveal to you requires your full presence. Sit down. If you are rushing through your day, if you are distracted, if you are multitasking, I want you to stop. Sit down and anchor your spirit, because the message God has sent for you today is of such weight and gravity that you cannot receive it on the run. What is about to hit your life is massive. It is a shift of such magnitude that it will reorganize the very landscape of your existence, and heaven scheduled this exact moment for you to receive it. You did not click this video by accident. You did not find this message by some random twist of an algorithm. This is a divine appointment, and the words I am going to speak carry the authority to close a season that has stayed open for far too long. I know what your rooms have felt like lately. I know about the strange heaviness that seems to hang in the air, the one that makes your home feel more like a battlefield than a sanctuary. I know about the 3 a.m. wake-ups, the ones where your eyes snap open in the dark and you are greeted by an immediate tightness in your chest. You lay there staring at the ceiling, trying to breathe, trying to find a reason for the restlessness that has taken up residence in your soul. You feel like running. You feel like leaving everything behind, packing a bag and going to a place where nobody knows your name, just so you can finally find a moment of peace. You look at your life and you see a cycle that never seems to stop spinning, a wheel of effort that leaves you empty-handed every single time. You feel like you are fighting the same battle over and over again, and the victory you were promised seems to remain just out of reach. It is the same pattern repeating itself over and over. You think you have finally climbed out of the valley, only for another storm to wash you right back down. You think a relationship is finally safe, only for the same betrayal to show up with a different face. You think your finances are finally stabilizing, only for an unexpected crisis to drain the reservoir before you can even enjoy the relief. And the worst part is not the struggle itself. The worst part is the memory. It is the sinking feeling in your stomach that says you have been here before. You are tired of the loops. You are tired of crying the same tears, praying the same prayers, and wondering if the ceiling of your room is made of brass because it feels like nothing is getting through. You are tired of hoping for a change only to watch the old disappointments rebuild themselves in your path. I see your exhaustion, chosen one. I see the version of you that smiles for everyone else while carrying a weight that you cannot share with anyone. You are the strong one. You are the counselor, the shoulder to cry on, the one who always has a prayer and a word of encouragement for others. But when you are the one bleeding, the room is empty. Your phone does not ring when you are in a crisis, and you have learned to weep in silence so you do not burden the people who depend on you. You are exhausted from bracing. You brace for the next disappointment. You brace for the next betrayal. You brace for the next storm, because you have been conditioned to believe that peace is just a temporary illusion. You have spent years waiting for the other shoe to drop, and your soul is tired of living in a state of constant survival. But here is what the enemy does not want you to discover. The fatigue you are carrying right now is not a sign of your defeat. It is the final wave of a coordinated assault. The enemy has been working overtime against you in these last 72 hours because he saw the size of what is about to hit your life. He saw the shift. He saw the blessings. He saw the sudden realignment of your destiny, and he knew he could not stop it. So, he tried to do the next best thing. He tried to make you quit at the very gate of your inheritance. He wanted to make you so tired that you would lie down in the dirt and surrender right before the finish line. The heaviness is not a sign that God has forgotten you. It is the proof that you are closer than you have ever been to a breakthrough that will shake the foundation of your family line. Do not click away. Do not let the familiar voice of doubt tell you that you have heard this all before. You have not heard this. In the next few minutes, I am going to reveal 3 things that will change the way you look at your pain forever. First, I will show you why this exhaustion is not your failure, but the necessary decompression your spirit must undergo before you are elevated to a massive level of authority. Second, I will expose the one hidden agreement you made with weariness, the quiet contract you signed in the dark that is keeping the cycle alive. And third, I am going to give you the declaration that will seal your breakthrough permanently, the exact words that will revoke the enemy's legal right to touch your life again. Stay with me until the very last word, because your shift is not coming tomorrow. It is starting right now, and what you receive here will change your direction forever. You have been carrying the weight of an entire household. You have been the pillar of strength for everyone who walks through your door. But who holds you up when you are about to fall? Who listens to your heart when the noise of the world becomes too loud to bear? You have spent months, perhaps even years, performing a duty that was never yours to carry alone. You wake up with a feeling of dread. You look at your schedule, your responsibilities, the people who rely on you, and you feel a quiet panic. You ask yourself how much longer you can keep this up. You ask if anyone notices the toll it is taking on your body and your mind. The truth is, they do not notice. They see the strength, they see the results. They see the person who always finds a way to make things work. They do not see the midnight tears. They do not see the moments when you sit in your car, staring at the steering wheel, unable to bring yourself to go inside. They do not know about the prayers that feel like they are hitting a ceiling of solid brass. You feel like your words are just bouncing back to you. You feel like the heaven above you is silent, and you wonder if your voice is even traveling past the walls of your room. It is a deep, isolating loneliness. It is the loneliness of being selected for a path that others cannot walk. But I am here to tell you that the silence is not absence. The heaviness you feel is not a sign that you have failed in your faith. It is the exact opposite. Your exhaustion is a physical symptom of a spiritual reality. You are undergoing a process of decompression. When a diver rises from the deep ocean to the surface, they must stop. They must pause to allow their body to adjust to the change in pressure. If they rush, the transition will destroy them. You have been in the depths of warfare, chosen one. You have been fighting in the trenches of survival for so long that your spirit has become accustomed to the pressure of the battle. Now, God is pulling you to the surface. He is pulling you into a season of elevation. But you cannot enter this new atmosphere with the same tension you carried in the deep. You cannot carry the pressure of the fight into the place of your inheritance. This is why you must sit down. The magnitude of what God is about to release into your life is so great that it cannot be received while you are striving. You cannot catch a tsunami with hands that are clenched in a fist. You cannot receive a massive downpour while you are running around trying to fix everything yourself. You must surrender the posture of effort. You must lay down the weapons of your own strength and allow the atmosphere of heaven to calibrate your soul. There is a divine law that governs this transition. It is written in the Holy Scriptures. In Psalm 46 verse 10, God says, "Be still and know that I am God." Think about those words. He does not say fight harder. He does not say figure it out. He does not say run until you collapse. He says be ye still. In the original language, that command to be still means to let go. It means to weaken your grip. It means to surrender your control. It is an invitation to sit down. When you sit down, you are declaring to the spiritual realm that you trust the one who is standing. You are announcing that you are no longer the source of your own protection, your own provision, or your own breakthrough. Sitting down is not a sign of weakness. It is a declaration of authority. It is the ultimate act of faith. When you sit down, you allow the Holy Spirit to become your acceleration. What would take you 10 years of striving to build, God can drop into your lap in a single second. The doors you have been trying to kick open with your own strength will open on their own when you are seated in His presence. The battles you have been fighting with your own words will be fought by the host of heaven while you remain silent. The enemy wants you to keep running. He wants you to keep striving because he knows that an exhausted chosen one is a distracted chosen one. He wants you to believe that if you stop, everything will fall apart. He wants you to carry the burden of the universe on your shoulders. But you are not the savior. You are the child. And today, your Father is saying, sit down now. Let me take the wheel. Let me carry the weight that has been bending your spine. Let me show you what happens when the Creator of the universe fights on your behalf. The pressure you feel is the old season dissolving, and the new season is waiting for you to find your rest. The shift you are about to experience is so massive that it requires you to be completely still so you do not miss the whisper of instruction that comes with it. You are entering a period of preservation. The pause you are in is not a waste of time. It is the forge where your new strength is being created. And there is a powerful scripture, a story of an exhausted giant of faith, that proves God is about to redirect your path in a way that will leave you speechless. Let us look at what happened when he sat down in the wilderness, thinking he had reached the end of his assignment, only to find that God was just getting started. Let us travel back in time to the wilderness of Beersheba. We find one of the greatest prophets who ever lived, a man named Elijah. He had just witnessed the fire of God fall from heaven. He had defeated the prophets of Baal in a public demonstration of divine power. Yet, immediately after this massive victory, a threat from a wicked queen sent him running for his life. He ran into the desert, exhausted, terrified, and completely drained of energy. He walked a day's journey into the wilderness, found a broom bush, and sat down under it. He sat down not in victory, but in defeat. He prayed that he might die, saying, "It is enough now, O Lord, take my life." Elijah was at his breaking point. He had given everything he had fought the good fight, but the constant pressure had finally crushed his spirit. He believed his assignment was over. He believed his presence on earth was no longer necessary. Have you ever been there, chosen one? Have you ever sat under your own broom bush, looking at the wreckage of your expectations, wishing you could just close your eyes and let it all go? You have fought so hard for your family, your dreams, your faith, and yet here you are, sitting in the dust of your own fatigue, telling God that you have had enough. But notice how God responds. He does not send thunder. He does not send lightning to rebuke Elijah for his lack of faith. He does not tell him to get up and keep running. Instead, God sends an angel with freshly baked bread and a jar of water. The angel touches him and says, "Arise and eat." Elijah eats and drinks, and then he lays down again. The angel returns a second time, touches him again, and says, "Arise and eat, because the journey is too great for you." God did not look at Elijah's exhaustion as a sin. He looked at it as a physical and spiritual limit that required divine intervention. God was preserving his prophet. He did not let Elijah die in the wilderness. He fed him, rested him, and prepared him for the next stage of his calling. The pause under the broom bush was not the end of Elijah's story. It was the birth of his successor, Elisha, and the preparation for his translation into heaven in a chariot of fire. The wilderness was not his graveyard, it was his sanctuary of preservation. Your current pause is no different, chosen one. The heavy silence you are experiencing is not God ignoring your cries. It is his way of feeding your spirit with the bread of heaven, because the journey ahead of you is too great for your human strength. God is not going to let you fail in this dry place. He is not going to let the enemy mock the investment he has made in you. The wilderness is simply the waiting room, where you are stripped of the old dependencies and clothed in divine authority. If your spirit recognizes this pause, take a moment to comment, "I am still." Let the noise around you quiet down as you write those words. Let them be a physical sign of your surrender to the process. You are allowing the angel of the Lord to minister to your tired soul. You are letting go of the need to perform, the need to achieve, and the need to prove your worth to a world that will always demand more than you can give. The further an arrow is drawn back, the faster and farther it will travel when it is finally released. The archer does not pull the string back to break the arrow. The tension is necessary. The pullback is deliberate. The isolation you have felt, the pressing down of your circumstances, the feeling that you are moving backward instead of forward. That is the hand of the master archer drawing you back. He is building the potential energy. He is aiming you toward a target you cannot even see yet. The pressure you feel is not the sign of your destruction. It is the measure of the distance you are about to travel. The master archer is not rushing. He knows exactly when to let go. He knows the strength of the wood and the capacity of the string. You must rest in his grip, knowing that you are being positioned for maximum impact. Every day you spent waiting in the dark was another millimeter of tension being added to the draw. You must remain steady in the hand of the archer. If you fight the tension, if you try to release yourself too early, you will lose your direction. You must trust the grip of the one who holds you. Sit down under the promise of his word. Receive the nourishment he is sending to your spirit through these very words. The journey ahead requires a version of you that is not tired, not bitter, and not anxious. It requires a vessel that is filled with the peace that passes all understanding. But there is a second, deeper reason God is telling you to sit down right now. It is a truth that the enemy has spent your entire life trying to hide from you. It is not just about your rest. It is about a sudden, dramatic shift in the spiritual physics of your calling. Let us look at another giant of Scripture who went from the lowest room of the dungeon to the highest seat of the palace in a single 24-hour period. Think about the story of Joseph. He spent years in prison for a crime he did not commit. He was forgotten by the chief cupbearer. He was left in the dark, wondering if the dreams of his youth were just a cruel joke. He woke up one morning expecting another day of chains, another day of cold prison walls, and another day of silence from the heavens. But before the sun could set, Pharaoh had a dream that no one in the empire could interpret. Joseph was summoned. They shaved him, changed his clothes, and brought him out of the dungeon. In a single hour, Joseph stood before the ruler of the greatest empire on earth. In a single day, he was given the signet ring, the robe of fine linen, and a gold chain around his neck. Joseph did not climb the ladder of success. He did not gradually work his way out of the dungeon. The transition was sudden. It was total. The shift that took him from a prisoner to a ruler was so massive that it shook the entire ancient world. One day he was eating prison rations, and the next day he was managing the food supply of nations. One day he was bound by iron chains, and the next day he was riding in the second chariot of Egypt. This sudden shift was not a reward for Joseph's cleverness. It was the alignment of a divine timeline that could no longer be delayed. The prison was his training ground, but the palace was his purpose. You must prepare your mind for the speed of God's restoration. This is the spiritual law of the sudden shift. God does not need a long time to change your life. He does not need a transition period to move you from the wilderness to the palace. He only needs a single moment. The process you are in right now, chosen one, is the build-up of that sudden shift. You feel like you are moving backward or standing still because you are looking at the surface. But beneath the surface, the spiritual architecture of your life is being rebuilt. Think of a tectonic shift. For years, two massive plates of the earth press against each other. On the surface, nothing seems to be happening. You cannot see any change. You cannot see any movement. But the pressure is building. The energy is accumulating. The force is mounting. And then, in a single second, the pressure exceeds the resistance. The plates slip. A massive repositioning occurs, and the landscape of the earth is permanently changed. Do not count the days. Do not measure the silence. The silence of God is not his inactivity. It is the signature of his concentration. He is preparing a masterpiece, and a masterpiece cannot be rushed. That is what is happening in your life right now. The pressure you have been feeling is not a sign of collapse. It is the building of potential energy for a spiritual tectonic shift. The trials you have survived have built a pressure of glory that is about to release itself in your physical reality. You have been looking at your circumstances and thinking that nothing is changing because you cannot see the plates moving. But God is saying, I am shifting the foundations. I am moving the boundaries. I am reorganizing the very structure of your life, and when it manifests, it will happen with a speed that will leave you in awe. This shift is already affecting the atmosphere around you. You are undergoing a frequency shift, and the people in your life are beginning to sense it. You might have noticed that some people have suddenly pulled away from you. Conversations that used to flow easily are now awkward. Friends you have known for years are suddenly distant. This is not a mistake. This is the natural result of your frequency changing. As God elevates you, the old connections that were built on the level of your struggle can no longer survive on the level of your inheritance. The distance you feel between yourself and others is not a rejection. It is a separation. God is pulling you apart so He can work on you in private. You cannot be poured into if you are constantly pouring yourself out to people who do not value the oil on your life. The atmosphere around you is purifying. At the same time, those who once ignored you will soon seek your counsel. The people who looked down on you when you were in the dungeon will be forced to stand in your presence when you are in the palace. Just as Pharaoh needed Joseph's wisdom, the world around you will soon need the revelation that you carried through your dark seasons. The suffering you went through was not just for you. It was to develop a depth of wisdom that cannot be bought or counterfeited. You are being positioned to become an answer to the problems of others. You are being prepared to manage the resources of the kingdom. But how does this shift physically manifest in your life? It requires you to understand the spiritual physics of what is being placed on your shoulders. You must understand that you are not just receiving a blessing, you are receiving a mantle, and a mantle carries its own gravity. Let us look at what that mantle represents, and why your sensitivity has been the indicator of its weight. What is a mantle? In ancient times, a mantle was a physical garment that represented authority, office, and spiritual responsibility. When Elijah passed his mantle to Elisha, Elisha did not just receive a coat, he received the spiritual weight and the double portion of the spirit that rested on his master. A mantle is not light, it is heavy because it carries the gravity of heaven's assignment. Many chosen ones spend their entire lives wondering why they feel so heavy. They think they are suffering from depression, anxiety, or emotional exhaustion. They do not realize that the weight they are feeling is the gravity of the mantle God has placed on their shoulders before they were even born. You have felt this weight since you were a child. You have always been different. You could walk into a room and immediately sense the atmosphere. You could tell when someone was lying, when there was tension, or when someone was hurting, even if they were smiling. You were the empath. You were the discerner. The world looked at you and told you that you were too sensitive. They told you that you were too emotional, that you took things too seriously, and that you needed to develop thicker skin. You carried that label as a wound. You believed that your sensitivity was a defect, a weakness that made it hard for you to survive in a harsh world. But today, God is reframing your history. Your extreme sensitivity was not a defect. It was the sensor God built into your spirit to measure the weight of His glory. You were calibrated to feel the spiritual atmosphere because you were designed to change it. You could not be a carrier of the shift if you could not sense the need for it. The very thing the world told you to hide was the radar God used to prepare you for your mantle. You are not a victim of your feelings. You are a breakthrough prophet who has been calibrated to carry the weight of heaven's glory into the places of darkness. Because you carry this mantle, you have spent your life in the posture of a servant. You have been the one who carries the burdens of everyone else. You pray for their healing while you are sick. You give them your last dollar while you are in lack. You listen to their complaints while your own heart is breaking in silence. You have been the source of strength for everyone around you, but you have had no one to stand in the gap for you. You have been running on empty, trying to sustain a calling on your own strength. But in this season, God is telling you to sit down. He is saying, "It is time for me to carry you." You cannot carry the mantle if you are constantly carrying the weight of other people's expectations. You must sit down in His presence and allow Him to lift the heavy burdens from your shoulders. He is not asking you to stop being a blessing. He is asking you to stop being the source. You are the vessel, not the well. You must let him fill you up with his peace, his strength, and his authority before you can step into the palace. If you keep running, you will drop the mantle. If you keep striving, you will burn out before the promise is realized. Rest in the assurance that the one who called you is the one who will sustain you. Share this message with another chosen one who has been carrying a heavy weight lately. Tell them that it is time to sit down. Tell them that their sensitivity is not a curse but a weapon. By sharing this truth, you are helping to assemble the tribe of the selected. You are reminding them that they are not alone in their exhaustion, and that the pause they are experiencing is the hand of God preparing them for a massive acceleration. You are reinforcing the reality of the shift in their spirits. You must understand that the enemy is terrified of you finding your rest. He knows that when a chosen one is still, they become dangerous. When you stop striving, you stop relying on your own strength and start operating in the authority of God. The enemy wants you to stay busy. He wants you to stay tired. He wants you to keep running in circles because he knows that the moment you sit down and receive your mantle, his assignment against your life is officially over. He cannot defeat a seated heir, because when you sit in authority, you are seated with Christ in heavenly places. Your position of rest is your position of victory. But there is one major hidden agreement you are carrying right now. It is a quiet contract that you signed in the dark, and it is the only thing that could block this massive wave of blessing from landing in your life. It is a snare that has kept many chosen ones trapped in the wilderness, even after the palace gates have been opened. Let us expose this hidden block so you can tear it up once and for all. What is this hidden agreement that has been quietly blocking your breakthrough? To understand it, we must look at where you are sitting. Yes, God is telling you to sit down, but there are two ways to sit. You can sit down in rest, or you can sit down in defeat. You can sit down in the palace, or you can sit down in the dust of the wilderness. The hidden block that is holding you back is your agreement with weariness and smallness. Without realizing it, you have made a contract with the desert. You have lived in the dry place for so long that your mind has adapted to the drought. You have trained your spirit to expect nothing but struggle. This is not condemnation. Chosen one, I want you to hear my voice clearly. This is a diagnosis of love. It is the gentle hand of a father pointing to a wound that must be healed before you can wear the crown. The truth is, you have become comfortable with the battle. You have spent so much time bracing for the next blow that you do not know how to relax your shoulders. Even when the sun is shining, your eyes are scanning the horizon for the next storm. Even when God opens a door, you hesitate on the threshold, wondering if it is a trap. You have agreed with the lie that struggle is your permanent identity. You tell yourself that you are just being realistic. You tell yourself that you are protecting your heart from disappointment. But in reality, you are agreeing with the enemy. You are saying that the desert has the final say over your destiny. You have allowed the pain of the old cycles to write the script for your future. When God tells you to sit down, He is not telling you to lie down and die. He is not telling you to give up on the promises He has spoken over your life. He is telling you to sit down in His authority, to rest in His finished work, and to prepare your heart for the massive shift that is already on its way. You must revoke your agreement with the wilderness. You must tear up the contract you made with lack, with isolation, and with the expectation of betrayal. The desert was a school, chosen one. It was the classroom where your faith was tested, where your character was forged, and where your reliance on human strength was broken. But it was never meant to be your home. You were not called to dwell in the dry land forever. The lease on your wilderness season has expired, and God is demanding that you pack your bags and move toward the palace. But you cannot enter the palace while you are still carrying the mindset of a prisoner. Think about the children of Israel. They left Egypt, but Egypt did not leave them. Even when God rained down bread from heaven and brought water out of a rock, they kept looking back. They kept complaining, wishing they could return to the chains they knew rather than trust the freedom they did not understand. They agreed with their slavery. They believed they were grasshoppers in the eyes of their enemies, and that agreement kept an entire generation from entering the promised land. You cannot let the memory of your chains keep you from your crown. God has already paid the price for your freedom, and it is an insult to his sacrifice to live as if you are still in prison. You must stand up in your mind before you can stand up in your circumstances. God is saying to you today, sit down to rest, but prepare to rule. The position of rest is the position of power. When you sit down in the presence of God, you are aligning your spirit with the truth that the war is already won. You are acknowledging that the enemy has no legal right to your peace, your family, or your future. You are declaring that the massive shift is not something you have to work for, but something you simply have to receive. You are shifting from the posture of a beggar to the posture of an heir. The time has come to break the alliance with weariness. You have been tired for too long because you have been carrying things God never asked you to touch. You have been carrying the sins of your past, the expectations of others, and the fear of the future. Lay them down at the feet of the Father. Sit down under the shadow of his wings. Let the quietness of his spirit wash over your mind. The desert season is officially over. The atmosphere of struggle is dissolving, and the gravity of your mantle is pulling you into your true position of authority. Place your hand on your heart. Take a deep breath. Let the silence of this moment settle into your bones. The gates of the palace are opening, and the host of heaven is standing at attention. It is time to speak the words that will seal your release. It is time to step out of the posture of striving and enter the peace of the seated ruler. The next words you speak will echo in the spiritual realm, and they will break the chains that have held you for generations. Are you ready? Place your hand on your heart right now. I want you to close your eyes to the distractions of the world and open your spirit to the presence of God. Feel the weight of your hand pressing against your chest. That is the place where your battles have been fought. That is the place where your tears have been stored. But today, that is the place where your authority is being activated. Take a deep breath. Release the tension in your shoulders. Let the peace of heaven fill your lungs. I am going to speak these words of release, and I want you to declare them with me, either out loud or in the silence of your heart. Let these words be your legal decree in the spiritual realm. Speak these words with me. I release the expectation of struggle. I release the habit of bracing for the next disappointment. I revoke every agreement I made with weariness, and I tear up every contract I signed with the wilderness. I declare that my desert season is officially over. I step out of the posture of human striving. I lay down the weapons of my own strength, and I sit down in the divine authority of my Father. I sit in his presence, and I arise in his power. I declare that the massive shift God has ordained for my destiny is hitting my life right now. I receive the sudden realignment of my health, my family, and my finances. I receive it fully. I receive it now. Let those words settle. Do not rush past them. Let the weight of that declaration sink deep into your spirit. The words you just spoke are not empty sounds. They are a spiritual decree. The moment they left your heart, a transaction occurred in the heavens. The old chains of repetition lost their grip on your life. The legal right of the enemy to keep you in the loop of pain was officially cancelled. You have withdrawn your consent from the desert, and the desert can no longer hold you. You have stood up in your authority, and the atmosphere of your life is organizing itself around your seated position. The angels of the Lord are moving on your behalf. The obstacles that stood in your way for years are being dismantled in this very hour. You do not have to fight for what God has already authorized. You only have to stand in the reality of your selection. This massive shift is not a temporary relief. It is not a brief pause in the storm before the rain starts falling again. It is a permanent covenant. The doors that God is kicking open for you today are doors that no human hand can close. The resources he is releasing into your hands are resources that the enemy cannot dry up. The favor that is landing on your life is not a passing season, it is your new home. You are no longer visiting the palace, you are moving in. The keys of authority have been placed in your hand. You are no longer defined by the struggle of your ancestors. You are defined by the glory of the one who called you out of darkness. The weight of the mantle you carry is no longer a burden. It is the signature of your calling, and you will wear it with grace and honor. This is your moment of catharsis. The pain of the past years is being converted into the fuel for your future. Every tear you wept in secret is being transformed into a seed of joy. Every betrayal you survived is being turned into a shield of discernment. The enemy tried to use your sensitivity to destroy you, but God used it to calibrate you for this exact hour. You are standing on the threshold of a new identity. The person who walked into the wilderness is not the person who is walking out. You have been refined, you have been preserved, you have been selected. And here is what this means for everything coming toward you. The relationships, the opportunities, the assignments. They were waiting for this cycle to complete before they could be released. They were blocked by your agreement with the desert. But now that you have revoked that agreement, the floodgates are open. The connections that were delayed are now accelerating. The breakthroughs that were stuck are now rushing toward you with a speed you never thought possible. They are not coming in some distant future. They are here. They are waiting for you to step into them. Do not try to force the timing. Do not try to manipulate the doors. God is the one who establishes your steps. If he has opened the gate, no man can shut it. The connections that are meant for you will find you, and the resources you need will flow to you without effort. Do not let the enemy whisper that nothing has changed. Do not look at the surface of your circumstances to find the proof. The proof is in your spirit. The proof is the peace that has just taken place of your anxiety. The proof is the quietness that has settled over your mind. The shift is already sealed, and the legal papers of your freedom have been signed by the hand of the Creator. The season of preparation is complete. Your assignment is about to begin, and the glory of the Lord will be your rear guard as you walk into your inheritance. The shift is sealed. You walked into this message carrying the heavy chains of the old season, but you are walking away with the mantle of the new. You sat down under your broom bush in absolute exhaustion, but you will stand up in total victory. Do not look back at the desert. Do not let your mind return to the place of your struggle. The work is finished, and the decree has been recorded in the courts of heaven. You are now entering the phase of your manifestation, and what God has spoken in private is about to be demonstrated in public. Let us review the 7 promises of your transformation today. First, everything you endured in the wilderness was not a waste of time. It was the necessary preparation to build the spiritual muscle required to carry the weight of your mantle. Every lonely night, every dry season, every time you felt abandoned by those you trusted, it was all a classroom. God was using the heat of the desert to forge a vessel that could carry his glory. You are not broken, you are prepared. Second, you are no longer defined by the labels the world put on you. You are not too sensitive, too quiet, or too emotional. They called you too sensitive because they could not understand the radar of your discernment. They called you quiet because they did not know you were listening to the frequency of heaven. You are the chosen one of God, and your true identity was written before the foundations of the earth. Third, you do not have to fight for your elevation. You do not have to strive, to manipulate, or to force doors open. The promotion does not come from human hands. It comes from the hand of the Father. The shift is already authorized by the Father, and he will establish your steps. Fourth, you have officially revoked your agreement with weariness and smallness. You have torn up the contract you made with the desert, and you are no longer bracing for the next blow. You are no longer looking for water in empty wells. You are expecting the rain of his blessings. Fifth, you are seated in the presence of God, and from that position of rest, you will rule. Your peace is your power, and the enemy cannot touch a seated heir. When the enemy sees you resting, he knows he has lost his hold over you. He cannot touch a soul that is anchored in the peace of the Father. You are hid with Christ in God, far above all principalities and powers. Sixth, the doors that are opening for you in this season are permanent. No human hand can shut them, and no enemy assignment can delay them. They are doors of destiny that have been reserved for you since before the creation of the world. And seventh, your breakthrough is not arriving in some distant future. It has already arrived, and it was sealed in the spiritual realm the very second you surrendered your control to the Holy Spirit. The transaction is complete. The court of heaven has ruled in your favor, and the assignment against you is officially terminated. Carry these 7 truths in your heart. Let them be your shield when the voice of doubt tries to pull you back to the old patterns. You are a new creation. The old season is gone, and the new has come. You are the head and not the tail. You are above and not beneath. You are a carrier of the glory of the Lord, and the favor that is landing on your life will touch every area of your existence. You will look back at this exact day and realize that this was the turning point. This was the moment the cycle broke and your life began to flow in the acceleration of the Spirit. If this message spoke to your spirit today, subscribe and hit the notification bell. Never miss the next word heaven sends through this channel. Leave a comment below with the words, "I receive the shift," to seal your declaration publicly. Let the spiritual realm hear your voice, and let your comment be the first monument of your freedom. Share this message with one person who needs to sit down and rest today. Tell them that their wilderness is over and that their Father is waiting to carry their burdens. By sharing this truth, you are participating in the gathering of the selected, and you are releasing the frequency of breakthrough into their lives. Do not withhold the word that can set them free. Walk in your new authority, chosen one. Do not let the dust of the desert cling to your shoes. You are entering the palace. You are wearing the mantle. You are seated with Christ, and your victory is secure. The days of your striving are over, and the days of your ruling have begun. Lift your head, relax your shoulders. The shift has happened, and it is massive. The preparation is complete. Your assignment starts now. Go forth in peace, and let the oil of His presence run down your life. Amen.